What is happening, Dolphins fans, and welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host El Capitan. Tonight on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we got a special guest on these Tuesdays this season. I'm trying to bring in a special guest every Tuesday, and we got a special one. We got a good one. And I can't wait to introduce them. But before we do, everybody hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, make sure to make the mild journey and go to tftgnetwork.com, and it'll take you to the link here on the YouTube channel. And come here and subscribe. Get on the show. Take the visual part in, because it's not just a podcast. It's a program and a show. Guys, our guest that's coming in, an amazing follow on Twitter at King of Finland. So make sure to check him out. I'm going to introduce him here in just a minute. We'll get right into it.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic hit. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill, touchdown!
Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand, and damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off, it's these f***ing clowns who were all taught they deserve it now. It's only worth it if you work for it.
Yes. Welcome again to the Fins Tailgate. Hit the like button on the way in, guys. Come over to YouTube. Subscribe over here. Hit the like button. Get the likes up. Thank you, everybody, for getting here early and on time. So our special guest, right? It's going to be, I mean, we got a lot to talk about, me and the special guest, right? We've got a lot going on here. Thursday night football with the Buffalo Bills. We'll go into that. We also got a game coming up in Seattle against the Seahawks. And I mean, who would know? Like, what narratives, what talking points could me and King of Finland talk about? I don't know. We're just gonna have to wing it, I guess. So guys, again, royalty in the house. We've got, the majesty, the Lord of the lands, if you will. Royalty in the building. The King of Finland. What is happening, buddy? Welcome.
Man, what's going on? Happy to be here.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah. Let's not waste any time, man. Let's get into this. I mean, it's a rough time to be a Dolphins fan the last lifetime. That's just been my experience, right? Just my lifetime. Not, we could say as of recent. No, it's been the lifetime. And the next chapter of sorrow for us Dolphin fans was, well, here's what makes it all the worst, is that we start by paying what we perceive to be our franchise guy. Guy was the leading passer in the NFL last year, Pro Bowl, just, making waves, staying healthy all year last year, proving the doubters wrong. And then, we come back in a victory against the Jaguars. Thursday night football comes up. We know it's a tough test against the Buffalo Bills. They've had our number forever. We're like 1-11 against them in matchups. It's freaking nuts. And our quarterback having a terrible game, and then ultimately taking a massive injury, one we've come all too well to know. I mean, Dolphins fans are like experts on CTE and concussions at this point because of our quarterback. And he goes down in the nastiest of forms, because to me, from my perception, and I want to hear everything you got to say on this topic, wasn't that hard of a hit. Seemed like just a routine football hit that he went down with. And again, the fencing, the
Yeah.
fencing, which seizures with a concussion, terrible news. And now today announced that he's going on IR. So, King of Finland, tell me.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's scary more than anything, right? Like when you first see it and you see him in the fencing position, it's just like it's unsettling to watch. It's scary. You know, you never want to see somebody in that position. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like Dolphins fans have had endless hopes and endless hopes destroyed for. I mean, dude, I was born in 1999. So you want to talk about like lifetime?
Yeah,
I,
you didn't even get to experience Danny Boy.
I didn't even get to watch Marino. Like
Yeah.
the first quarterback I remember is Fiedler. So like, I mean, I know nothing but pain. This is the most talented Dolphins roster I've ever watched, and so it's like I don't know, man. You know, last season we were rolling so well, and then just the late season collapse. You know, and everybody was hurt, but like still, it's just man, you know, losing the division like that. I think everybody after last season, after that playoff game, was just probably one of the most dejected I've ever seen the fan base, right? Like, I mean, it was like almost radio silence on Dolphins Twitter for.
Yeah, it got real quiet in these streets. I even had a rough time this offseason making content, no lie.
Yeah, same. Like way more than any other offseason, truthfully. And then, you know, camp comes around, the guys are in the building, we get some signings we're happy about. The hype train rolls, and I'm right there on it. Like I'm excited about this team.
Dude, you got a locomotive on that and them tracks, bro. You got a locomotive on them tracks.
Yeah,
you ain't on the train. I see you're throwing the coal in there. You got one cooking.
Yeah, I'm hyped, man. I mean, like I feel like that's part of being a fan, you know.
Hell
too.
yeah,
Like,
buddy.
People. I get that people, you know, are like. There's like the haters and then the stands and whatever side.
There's the critics that, especially with the ones that are like yourself, right? That are trying to, you know, get hyped and expressing it in a way. There's plenty that don't like that. There's people that don't like people being happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, you know, I get it. Like I understand that this team has flaws and there's a lot of things, but like I don't know. I'm not going to be a fan and just be miserable the whole time. Truthfully, like that's just that I don't enjoy that, right? But like I think the hype build up so much that it's like this was the year, right? Like this has got to be the year. I mean, we've extended some guys, we've made some things work where it doesn't have to be this year, but like originally when we brought in Tyreek and we brought in Ramsey and we're thinking about Tua and Waddle and everybody on contracts and it's like 2024, 2025, that's like your 2-year like perfect window. And it didn't happen last year, but you build on it, you get hype, and then it's like just a total letdown. I mean, in so many ways, like the Jaguars game, they looked sloppy, but they pulled it out. They had some good, you know, they had some good moments.
Defense swung that momentum, man.
Yeah, like, you know, it was enough to be like, all right, I feel okay. And then you come into the Bills game, all the hype at home, Thursday night, and I mean, you just collapse. And
in the worst way possible, bro. In the worst way possible.
And so I think as far as the team, I think there's still a lot to figure out. I'm not as doom and gloom as ever. Like I don't think the season's over, you know, but it's definitely just a hard hit. And
it's bleak. It's bleak. It's not over, but it's bleak.
Like you know, you're probably trying to claw your way into a wild card playoff run at this point. You know, where we're hoping division. Now you already lost to the Bills once at home. You know, we got Skyler or Snoop Huntley for 4 games minimum. Like you know, it's just going to be a tough road. But what does McDaniel say? Adversity is opportunity. That phrase rings through my head. He says it.
Well, he's gonna have to put that into practice. You know what I'm saying? This is going into practice now.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And so, but I mean, I think, you know, at this point, I think it's just disappointment, man. It's just like. I think Dolphins fans are just tired. I'm tired, right? Like, I mean, we put so much into this team. We pour everything into them. And, it's just here we are again, you know? And as far as Tua goes, I mean, I know there's a lot of calls of, like, retirement and even questioning his play after that game and, like, a lot of different stuff. He had a bad game. Like
It was one of his worst games, man. I mean, he
it was
was just off the whole game. The
yeah.
offense, the whole I mean, the defense didn't stop the bleeding, but I hear a lot of people want to blame the defense, right? I mean,
I'm out.
I'm not blaming the defense. You can't give a team the ball 3 more times, plus all the fourth downs that they went for and gave it back to you overwhelm any defense with that type of friggin' offensive performance.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I actually thought the defense had a pretty good game. Like, granted, don't get me wrong, they weren't just lockdown, everything like that, but like they had a pretty good game in my opinion. They didn't give up a single score in the second half.
Yeah.
And I know like the Bills went up 31-10 pretty quick, but it's not like they just took their foot off the gas. I mean, they understood that they had to put the game away, and they were, they were still trying. They were still out there playing. They didn't pull starters. They didn't just go conservative. Like they were
It
playing.
didn't feel like they really throttled till after Tua got injured. Then they're like, all right, it's time to throttle back.
Exactly. And so, like, I think that the defense played a pretty good game, everything considered. I mean, like I said, no second half points. And then the other part is, like, they only gave up 24 points, which isn't great, but it's not horrible. But then at the same time, they got zero help from their offense. They only gave up one score that the ball started in Bill's territory.
Yeah, a lot of people don't say about the pick six. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the offense literally gave the team other points.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very lopsided.
Yeah, and even outside of the pick six, they had 2 interceptions that started the ball on the Dolphins side of the field.
Yep.
And then they had a turnover on downs that they scored on too. So like I said, like literally only one of the scoring drives the ball started on
from
their
a kickoff.
side.
Yeah.
Everything else, I mean, the defense was running on the field and we're already on our side of the field. Like, I mean, there's only so much you can do with that. The defense, I felt like, and I mean, the Bills, Josh Allen, like it's still a good offense. Like, I truthfully think that the defense played good enough to win that football game. But the offense was just atrocious. I don't know what's going on with the offense, man. It just feels disjointed. Something feels out of sync. Something feels like it's all timing and it's all fluid, and they've been on the same page so well for 2 years. And this season, the Jags game and this game, it just feels out of sync. I don't know why.
It feels too it feels typecasted and forced at times. It's almost like you're watching it and you're like, you could pretty much read what they're trying to do pre-snap on a lot of this stuff. And meanwhile, because of all the negative plays on early downs going, east and west and not north and south a lot, it just, I don't know, teams are teeing off on us in this way. And I don't know, man. Is Mike McDaniel just too much in his head? I do know this. One of the biggest criticisms I have of Mike McDaniel is his inability to adjust in game. It's like once it ain't working, that's it. It's all we got. And it's like, dang, dude, you got nothing. I mean, even Anthony Weaver on 2 occasions now have figured it out after halftime and came back and pitched shutouts after 2 half, in both second halves of football now. So, what's going on?
I still remain firm in the idea that Mike McDaniel's the guy. Like, I feel really good about it. I think he takes this job more seriously than I've seen, of a coach. I think he cares a lot. And obviously, like, caring and the nice and all that gets you so far. You got to win games, right? But, like, I think he's capable of winning games. I think he's got to give up play calling. That's my opinion. I think it's time to hand Frank Smith the play sheet, let him call the games. I think Mike McDaniel, play designer, top 5. The dude
and maybe even great at game planning or scripting drives, but not so great at in-game play calling.
And I think I think he just gets emotional. He's even said this too. Like, he gets so caught up on like the perfect play and like, oh, this is the perfect play for this because if this and this works, then it could be a big game and whatever. But it's like the perfect play is not always the right call. Like sometimes I just need 3-4 yards here. I just need to hand the ball up the middle and get 3 or 4 yards. And sometimes I just got to get the ball in the hands of my playmakers and start getting them hot. Like there's certain things about Mike that I think he just gets, like you said, he gets so like hyper focused on one thing and he can't get out of it. And so that's why I like our scheme. I love our scheme. I think it fits really well. I think that he's got to hand off play calling duties. And I'm kind of like that anyway. I don't love my head coach calling plays.
I want him to be the head coach, buddy.
Yeah, like you've got enough on your plate. That's what your coordinators are there for. You can still have input, but I always feel like it operates better if you don't have your head coach calling plays.
I mean, at this point, what's the worst that's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Frank Smith goes in there and is calling plays and Mike McDaniel and we're behind and Mike McDaniel goes, that's it, I got to step in, then so be it, right? At the very minimum, that would be the worst case scenario if you gave up the play calling duties to Frank Smith. Now, I do know fans, I mean, listen, Tua goes down and the way this team has performed on offense, especially in the Bills game, and all the money we've spent and capital and everything on this offense. And now, you've heard the fans, let's blow it up. Let's tank. I hate all that. I didn't like it the first time, much less now. And now they're turning on Mike McDaniel a little bit, the fans. And they're like, McDummy needs to get out of here. McGenius is so smart. He makes himself stupid. I mean, all of that stuff. I'm with you. I like Mike McDaniel. I don't like his inability to seem to disconnect. Like, all right, I think a lot of the fans, actually, I know a lot of the fans like the fact that he is making personal connections with his players. And I think there is something to be said to that. But there's also something to be said that if you're making personal connections, you're putting feelings over what's best for the team as whole. And that's a dangerous mixture. I understand you're supposed to care about your players, you're supposed to love them and stuff like that, and having a personal connection. But like for the team and overall betterment, like you got to be a little bit more honest and a little bit more forthright. That's what a head coach demands. And it, to me, and nobody, I haven't heard anybody really say this, right? We've heard this team is kind of soft. Like now the narrative, this team is soft. They quit. They're not playing hard. I mean, outside of Devon Achane, looked like the whole offense gave up at some point in that game, probably before Tua. Maybe not so much to line. I thought the line did pretty decent, but playmakers alike. Anyhow, this personal connection that our coach has, giving all these veteran rest days, allowing these guys to be, a little bit more leeway, not having a strict, rigid structure about you better perform because this is your job, not be, an asshole about it, but, keep it business. I think guys have just taken too many liberties, and there's a lot of superstars, guys with big personalities. And no one's asking this question yet. And it's going to be a question that starts coming out that all the mainstream media is going to be saying here directly. And you can tweet this, buddy, that they're going to say, can Mike McDaniel, is he losing the locker room because he can't handle all these big player personalities? He's too little of a coach to manage these types of athletes. It's coming.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, I think at some point I feel like I kind of expected this turn to happen on Mike McDaniel, because the cool, fun coach where everything's fun, everything's nice, like all the, the witty and the jokes and everything like that. It's fun until you start losing.
Yeah, then it looks real dumb.
Once you start losing, everybody turns. And while he bought himself a lot of benefit of the doubt, he bought himself a lot of, he I think gained a lot of respect and a lot of love from the fans because of that. And even though we hadn't won a playoff game and everything like that, he still brought more excitement to games than we'd ever seen.
It's a real offense, bro. Let's call it for what it is. That is the best offense we've seen around here in a dog's age, and that's what people loved.
And so I think he bought himself some credit there, but like I don't think he's become so established that everyone's just like oh yeah, like he's fine, whatever. He's there, and so you start to lose, people are gonna start turning. I'm really interested to see how this 4-game stretch goes, because this is where we really see what kind of coach we have.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
and I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I always say this, and I've been saying it for years, and I started saying it, when we fired Brian Flores, and when we, hired, and everybody was loving on Mike McDaniel not too long ago. Mike McDaniel, I mean, he was so hot, he was trending everywhere. Ultimately, the things you hire somebody for, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, it's almost like dating, right? When you start dating someone, ultimately the things you started dating and that you liked about them, you'll hate about them, and that's why you break up. And it's the same is true with head coaches, right? Brian Flores, hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach. People forget that Don was still alive when Brian got hired, and Don gave Brian Flores the stamp of approval. And I remember, I'm not quoting him completely here, but what he said was, this is the first coach that's like me, in so many words, that he's going to coach this way and get Miami back to what it used to be about. Blue collar, no one's above anyone. It's the team and the team only. And ultimately, that hard-nosed, coaching, and a little bit too far, obviously, right? As we've come to know later on, in so many ways, that's why he got fired. And when I look at Mike McDaniel, right, with his witty and charming and these jokes and the outfits and everything like that, that switch will turn on him faster than anything, because they'll make fun of all that stuff and
Yeah.
attack all that stuff, and ultimately that's what they'll serve up to then and inevitably fire him.
Definitely. Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, as soon as you start losing, that stuff turns from funny to annoying real quick. And I'm not there, but I think a lot of the fans are, and I get it. Like, we're just hurt fans. We just want to see this team win. That's it.
Well,
And
when you're hurt, you want other people to hurt too. And if the organization's like, we're thinking, Mike McDaniel, I feel like the organization feeds so much of what they want to get done to the fans, get the fans on their side, and then utilize it. If the organization starts serving up Mike McDaniel in this way, it'll be a fire sale.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen. I like I said, I'm not out on this season. I still have a lot of hope that we can do some cool things. But if we don't, I hope Mike McDaniel's not caught in the wreckage, unless he just it gets way worse. But I'm really excited to see how this next 4 weeks go. And it's really 5 weeks, because we got a bye. And then, who knows if Tua is even coming back for week 8? Like, we really don't know. So I'm excited, because in the past, when Tua's missed games, it's like Skylar's just kind of had to been thrown in, or Mike White's been thrown in, or Brissett's been thrown in, and then
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater, whoever. Yeah, actually, Brissett was still Flores. So Bridgewater. And then, like, Bridgewater gets thrown in, and then he gets hurt. Skylar's in, and it's like Mike, the same thing. Like, we've just had so much carousel. Whenever Tua goes down, it feels like it's been nothing but just chaos, And I'll give Mike McDaniel a little pass here and say, like, if you don't know who's running out there for you, it's really hard to set up a game plan. And now we've got 4 weeks where we know it's nothing but Skylar. Granted, he can get hurt. I know a lot of fans are excited about Snoop Huntley. He's a fun player. I don't think we see him unless Skylar Thompson gets hurt, personally.
Bro, it's going to take him time to get the offense, the playbook, calling the play. Like, there's so much that's got to happen. I'm not saying the guy's not a professional, but we're talking it's going to take a few weeks, right?
It's going to take, especially in this offense, it's going to take time. Unless Skylar either gets hurt, which I'm hoping he doesn't.
Yeah.
Or, he just looks miserably bad out there. I think it's Skyler, and I don't think he'll look miserably bad. I don't think he'll look good by any means, but I don't think he's going to be so bad that they're ready to bench him. But with that being said, Mike McDaniel, you know who your quarterback is for the next 4 games. You've got all the time in the world. I mean, all the time in the world, but for NFL, all the time in the world. What can you come up with? How can you make this offense serviceable enough to win football games? Because the defense is playing all right football. And to tell you the truth, if the offense doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, we're a lot closer to winning that game than people realize. Like, man, it was so frustrating. I was looking back at the stats. We outgained the Bills in offensive yards.
Oh, I know.
By like
it's
80 yards. It was like 450 to 270. Our third downs, we were 7 of 15 on third down. They were
what was Achan's average yard per run? It was
I think he had 14 carries for 145 yards.
Yes.
Something, I'm not a math guy here, but something stupid.
I mean, that's like 10, just around 10 a game.
40, yeah, I'm stupid. Well, yeah, 10 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And like we were moving the ball, and like I said, third down conversion way better. We each had 10 drives. We ran like 30 more plays. Like every single stat. I mean, we were either better or right on par with them, except we had 7 penalties. They had 1. We had 3 turnovers. They had none. Everybody says, right, you make mistakes, you lose football games. Like that's the oldest adage. You got to take care of the ball.
Can't win digging yourself in, bro. Can't win with that type of play.
But like, truthfully, like you look at that and the way the defense was playing. And it felt like that. Every time I felt like we'd break a big play, it's like here comes the yellow flag.
Mm-hmm.
And the penalties and the turnovers. I mean, you just destroy yourself. And you're never going to win a football game like that, especially against a division rival, a good division rival. And so I think if we can find a way to keep this offense from hurting themselves, go out there, play consistent football. It's not always going to look spectacular. It's not always going to look pretty. We're not going to throw up 30, 40 points. But go play consistent. Get us 21 points. We could probably win some football games. But can Mike McDaniel lay out that game plan? Can he adjust enough to create this temporary bubble that we have to operate in to go win some football games? Because it's like, too, like the last concussion Tua had too was like at the very end of the year, and it kind of just felt over. And it was like, it was what it was. Like this is, I feel like, is a really. I'm just excited to see how Mike McDaniel and the whole team respond personally.
So a couple things you said there that and this was something I was going to ask you about. When we think about Skylar Thompson, and we know this offense, I'm wondering. You're talking about can he put together a game plan that wins? I'm wondering, can he put together a game plan that benefits his quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Can he manipulate this offense to accentuate Skylar Thompson's strengths? Can he? Because to me, Skylar Thompson fits a more pro style offense. All this window dressing, I don't think it's not that I don't think he can operate it, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think that's how he plays the game at his best. I think it's from the pocket at 2.5 seconds, get outside the pocket if you need to, and push the ball down the field. And not that we won't use some motions in the run game and stuff, but as far as just straight up, I'm looking at more like the Bengals offense. You know what I'm saying? For a Skylar Thompson. And can he get that turned around in a game plan effectively in time for this game? That's my big question.
It's going to be tough. I mean, I don't think that, to a certain extent, like you kind of just run – you run your offense, right? And so I don't think he's going to totally shift and just go to that like Bill O'Brien is the name that comes to my head when we talk about like the vertical passing game,
Mm.
that kind of cemented like a really solid offense in that. But like the Bill O'Brien type offense of that, downfield vertical passing game, I think that is where Skyler excels. I don't think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just don't think. I think McDaniel will pivot some, but I don't think he's going to change it all up. Truthfully, like Skylar Thompson reminds me a lot of like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like I feel like Skylar Thompson's ceiling is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would love for him to go out there, roll out the Ryan Fitzpatrick offense, and that's just
Yep.
Let Skylar just go out there, man, for better or worse, and just let's see.
Just sling that bad boy down there.
Yeah.
Get a good run game going, play action, open the hips, and throw that beast 40+ yards. That's what I'm thinking. Exactly. I think they need to, at the very minimum, come out doing that. And then they can, stretch the defense out a little bit. Something I wish he would implement in this timing offense. It works when it's working. When it's not, I don't know if he doesn't trust the blocking, if he doesn't trust the quarterback, if he doesn't trust whatever, but they got to pivot to that type of action. I know they do take shots downfield, but it all seems so, like we said earlier, typecasted when it comes, right? To me, in these couple of weeks, because we're not just talking about this game, but over these next couple of weeks with Skyler, they've got to start pivoting that way a little bit. They have to, because it's going to help him and this team get an accurate read on what they have as a quarterback with Skyler. Because to me, putting him in this timing offense, it's not if Skyler was the number 1 overall draft pick or something like that, and just hypothetically, and this was going to be your guy perceptively to build an offense around. You didn't draft him to put him in a timing offense. You're not going to switch up his whole deal. It's just not what you see in the guy. Now, for better or for worse, that's how they've been training him since Mike McDaniel's here. And we're probably going to see this Sunday what that looks like and how far Mike McDaniel's training with him has come in a timing-based offense. But over these next couple weeks, Mike McDaniel can't just keep ramming this square peg in that round hole. He should really start working on seeing how this quarterback can perform with these weapons in a still an outside zone, wide zone running scheme, but try to implement that downfield passing attack that I think benefits him more.
Yeah, and honestly, it's frustrating. I think we're going to see the opposite. I think it's going to be a lot of just quick touches. I think Achane's going to have an insane amount of touches. I think Jonnu Smith's going to get a lot of touches. I think they're going to maybe try to force feed Tyreek a little bit, because he wasn't involved in the last game. But I think you're going to get a lot of those quick hitting, trying to just get him in rhythm.
If we get that, dude, it's just more of the same. And teams are like, fine, we can choose to do it one of two ways is how a team can go. They can go, all right, we're going to just protect the back end, let our front do what it can at times, and just not let you beat us deep with Tyreek and keep everything in front of us. And when we get in the red zone, we're going to stop you, right? Or they can go, if they have like superior guys in the secondary, whether it's a, great safety with a DB duo or that, something like that. They go, all right, we're going to load the box and not let you do anything sideline to sideline or quick pass. And we're going to break your drives. And that's what the Bills did to us. It was the adverse effect with the Jaguars a little bit, how they handled us a little bit. But the Bills just said, we're not going to let you chew us up underneath. And if that continues, it's just not going to be good for us, man. It's not.
Yep. And the thing that drives me crazy, man, is that the Bills were daring us to take the middle of the field.
Oh, yeah.
Us to take the middle of the field. And Mike McDaniel's first 2 years, we owned the middle of the field. You couldn't keep us out of the middle of the field. I mean, teams were running the craziest. I mean, teams were running too high on the hashes with Tampa 2 in the mid. I mean, just like anything they could do to clog up that middle.
Yep.
And
Linebackers are 4 yards back deeper than they should be. All
yeah,
that.
I mean, anything. And now all of a sudden, it's like we won't even touch it. And I don't know if Mike McDaniel's like, okay, well, I got caught on to, so I got to flip and whatever. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that drastic, right? Like, let's take a little bit of this neat new stuff that you've implemented and stretching it out and hitting the sidelines. But let's also keep attacking the middle of the field and let's do a little bit of everything. But yeah, I think that we're going to get a lot of that. I think they're going to do a lot to try to help Skyler. I think that's what it's going to be. They're going to be trying to help him as much as possible. And that means quick passes, screens, stuff like that. I don't know that that's going to help us win. That's the problem. But truthfully, I mean, I think where I feel like the Mike McDaniel offense fails, or at least where it fails on this team, is the offensive line. They've been somewhat impressive in the run game. I've been impressed, especially that right side with Austin Jackson, Liam Eichenberg. They've been a pleasant surprise in the run game. I think they've done well. We still can't pass block, man. We just can't. I mean, our pass game does a lot to help the offensive line. You know, we've got a lot of the, like you said, window dressing. We've got motion. We do a lot to displace the offensive line and put Tua in positions where he's not behind them. But anytime, like, that only works for a certain extent, and then you get to 3rd and long, or 3rd and medium, or 4th and 4, and you just gotta have it. And all the gimmicks, all the fun stuff goes away, and it's our guys versus your guys. You got to drop back, and you got to convert. And I feel like every time we do that, and it's just straight up pass, no play action, no, motion this way and fake thought and, whatever, like just straight drop. Every straight drop, the offensive line just collapses. I mean, and I think Austin Jackson's come a long way. Von Miller ate his lunch. I mean,
Von Miller looked pretty good, and
I was prime Von Miller. I don't know if it was Austin Jackson or Von Miller or something.
I think it's all the trash talk I did to Bills fans this offseason. I'll take the blame on Von Miller having the game, because I was all over their necks calling it the worst pickup and contract ever and stuff. But yeah, no, that sucked.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, on top of that, our guys can't stay healthy. The whole left side of the line got injured. And so I think that the offense is limited because, you talk about, like, why do we just keep doing all of these gimmicks, is what I kind of call them, right? They're gimmicks. And they work when they're working, but then, like you said, when it's not, it's not. And when it's not working and you just have to line up and straight drop and play, it falls apart. And it's because this offense can't hold up, this offensive line, in my opinion. But
now here's the things I wonder, right? And this is why, I mean, look, you either have to, as a quarterback, you either have to escape the pocket and buy the time, or you got to hang in there for that last nanosecond and get the pass off accurately. And I think through the scheme, they've looked to avoid that for Tua for right reasons, right? We don't need to sit there and have him get teed off. Now, it's not like we haven't seen Skylar Thompson get his bell rung and get taken out of the game either. So I'm not saying, hey, let's tee off on Skylar and see how it works. But I also think that that's kind of the way this. I mean, listen, Mike McDaniel said it. The next step in this offense is escapability from the quarterback, and they're gonna have to. Teams are demanding it anyhow. Teams are gonna put you in this position anyhow, to where they're going to take away the gimmicks, and you're going to play us straight up in the run game and in the pass game. And that's going to be the only way you can force us to get – that's the only way to manipulate the defense to then open up the gimmick stuff that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where we're at. So for better or for worse, we got to see, A, if Skylar can do it, and B, can Mike McDaniel scheme it to work? Because that has to happen, bro. It has to. Now, something that a lot of people aren't talking about is Tua's a left-handed quarterback. They've been scheming a lot of this stuff as an offense to a left-handed quarterback. I'm not saying it isn't routine, but ball's going to spin the other way. Ball's definitely going to be different. I think I don't think I'm capping here, but I don't know who would disagree. I would imagine that as far as arm strength, Skylar edges Tua out. I know Tua, I'll tell you what, his arm looked a hell of a lot stronger this year. But in total data that I have of Tua to Skylar throws a harder football. That's going to be an adjustment.
Yeah.
It's going to be an adjustment. There's going to be things all over. I got a couple of super chats in here. First one coming up from Roberto Valdez. He says, told y'all Greer is a 2-pack of ass GM. Built an O-line built an O-line with more holes than oh my God. All right, easy. God bless it. With Hezbollah soldiers and a QB who ran into a pole and knocked himself out with the troll, Robert. And then this is a Bills fan who's a member, and he'll donate. He goes, El Crapitan, worst contract ever. Are you sure? The data is still out on that, buddy. All right. If he goes down with another injury and you don't see him till never again, then yeah, it will be the worst contract with the Von Miller. That's what he's talking about as a Bills fan. So relax, Michael K. Hit the like button, everybody, on your way in. So I don't know. I am interested to see. It is a complete narrative shift. I mean, what a range of emotions for Dolphins fans that we got to deal with, right? We got to deal with, like you said, at the end of last season, the collapse, the hard letdown. It was so exhausting. The offseason was exhausting. That full gambit of emotions. Then this season coming, and players are getting paid, but Tua didn't get paid. Tyreek Hill's got drama. I mean, even right before the game in week 1, we got drama coming out of our, Tyreek Hill gets handled by police. And I don't even want to walk down that road right now because that's a whole different show. Let's just leave that where it lies. To then, Tua getting hurt after finally getting paid. And to me, all the contracts, the reworks, the everything, perceptively to myself, is showing me that the Dolphins believe in this team and believe in its personnel. I mean, and they're going to ride with it for 2024, 2025, 2026. That's the plan. And now Tua shoots their foot off because, listen, he's on IR. At this point, he's scheduled to come back or able to come back for the Arizona game. But we don't know. We don't know. Was that the last snap of Tua Tagovailoa's career? Does he not medically clear at some point? Does he medically clear but choose to retire? Does he medically clear but wants to play, and the Dolphins say, listen, you're cleared. I want you to play. I don't want you to play for this team. I can't put you back out there. Let's work something out or something like that. Does he then force the issue and say, no, you're going to let me play and get back out there? And are we all just going to hold our breath and bite our nails every time he, the pocket collapses on top of him or he escapes and is running downfield? I mean,
And the tough thing about this one, man, is like he just made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like he's been taking hits. He truthfully has. Like he's been getting sacked. He's been getting knocked over, getting right back up, everything. And he just goes out there and just lower, crown of the helmet right into somebody's shoulder pads, the chest of your shoulder pads, and like. It wasn't that hard of a hit, but I think it's just like the angle he took. And
dude, I don't know, bro. Listen.
But like just slide. And we're fine. Like he's taken a lot of hits this season. Like if you watch the first 2 games, like he got pushed over a lot. Like even if he's not getting sacked, he's getting pushed. And it's like he was okay until he goes out there and lowers his head and his neck gets locked in when he hits, right? Like
it just wasn't that hard of a hit. It wasn't against a 300-pounder. That's what makes me so nervous about it. I get it, right? The neck and how it gets twisted in a way, but that's that's par for the course in football with so many
is.
players. And like, dude, it's not, again, the fencing because of it too, like the optics of it all, everything surrounding it, knowing what we already know about his career. And I mean, dude, is the next answer that we're going to be fed as a fan base that, hey, Tua's deactivated this year, we'll assess next year? And if that's what comes, are they then going to pitch me Tua gained weight? We got chubby Tua back. Like, come on, man. How many times are we going to do this with this guy, bro? We can't do this.
No,
Like,
I
are we
can't.
going to, is this our inevitable like hamster wheel in the Twilight Zone? You know what I'm saying?
That can't work. I think, like, I understand why he put on the weight last season and it helped his injuries, but I think we all saw, like, that's just not a sustainable weight or build or model for him to play at. Like, he's got to be able to make the plays with his legs. And I feel like, up until that point, like, he was doing an okay job, like, I don't need him to be Lamar Jackson out there, but I need you to be good enough. I need you to be able to get out of the pocket and move and get a first down with your legs. And like, he was doing that until he got hurt. And so, and if I'm light and I'm mobile, I'm going to get hurt. Or if I'm heavier and not mobile, then I'm not going to get hurt. Like we can't sacrifice that, right? Like, he has to find a way to make this, light, or whatever you want to call it, Tua, this version of Tua, the mobile version of Tua. That's the only way it works. I know he led the league in passing last year. He had a fantastic season, everything, but he just couldn't move. And I mean, he hated it. You could tell. I mean, he said it this offseason. He didn't feel like himself, like, this is the Tua that he's got to be, but it only works if he can stay healthy. And you're right. It really wasn't a hard hit. He's taken, but my point is that he's taken a lot harder hits. I feel like it was the angle more than anything. I think he's taken harder hits this season. It's just, he's got to learn. He trucked Michael Carter like 2 or 3 years ago or whenever it was. And
I remember.
Crazy. Like, can't do that anymore. Can't even try it. Doesn't matter what it is. You slide. But I don't know. I think that we have to. I mean, we're here now, right? Like, the season's here. There's no big changes happening. We've got the whole year to ride this out. It's early. It's still really early. And I am in firm belief that he's coming back to play this year. At this point, I would be floored if he does not return to play football this year.
Well, let's look at it like this, right? Say the Dolphins lose every game between now and say he doesn't come back Arizona, say he's not cleared through concussion protocol or doctors won't let him play. And by the time they do, the Dolphins are 2-7. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do they even bring him back? Do they say, look, he can come back. We're just going to play it safe. We're moving. That to me it would be the most heartbreaking thing for fans, season ticket holders, creators, diehards like yourself that create on X and stuff like that. It would be the worst case scenario because we have so much money put into this team. So much.
We don't have the time to just spot a season,
Yeah, everybody's going to get a year older, bro. Everybody's a year older, a year more worn, a year more beaten. We're going to deactivate Tyreek, Ramsey, Phillips. Like, who are we talking about here? We're just going to start deactivating the whole. Let's just deactivate. Let's bring in a bunch of scrubs and go ahead and let's do Miami Dolphins tryouts, right? Let's just do Miami Dolphins tryouts, and we're going to deactivate about 12 to 14 players on this team that are certainly going to be on next year's team. And we're going to fill in their spots with guys we might want to put on our team for 2025. That would be the craziest scenario. Man, I would actually respect it. I would respect a move like that, honestly. That would be innovative in itself. But again, we can't do this. We can't tank. We can't wait.
I don't think that they will. Like, I mean, true. I know that, like, Tua obviously is going on injured reserve. They're going to take this slow. I don't think he's missing enough games to where the season gets out of hand. I just don't. Like anything, edge case scenarios can happen. But like as we look at like the likely scenarios of what can happen, they're not even necessarily like fully likely, just like realistic. Like personally, week 8 we'll have played 6 games at that point because we'll play the bye. Like going into that game, we're 6 games. Like I don't think we're 1-5. I just don't.
No, I don't think so either. I'm just scenario spitballing.
Yeah. But like I think we get. I think Tua's coming back. And when he comes back, I think he's going to have at least half a season, right? Like even if he doesn't come back for the 7th game, I think he'll have at least, somewhat of the half of the season left. And half a season is a lot of time to change people's minds, to show people things. I mean, Jordan Love had like 8 good games last year.
No lie. He got him paid and everything. And he got hurt.
Contract. And I mean, granted, he had the unfortunate knee injury, but like
crazy.
8 games and Jordan Love's in everybody's top 10 quarterback rankings.
I don't get it, dude. I don't understand it. I get the talent. I've seen the talent. I've always thought he has talent. I don't think they should have paid him. And the fact that everyone's chiming like this guy's the second coming at quarterback, I don't get it personally. I like him, but like, is he going to be, the next top tier dual threat to quarterback, or is he going to be Dak Prescott? And a lot of people like Dak Prescott, but I'm sorry, I hate Dak Prescott. I think he's a terror. That guy is the biggest sham of quarterbacks ever. But I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent now. But like, I don't understand the Jordan Love, for lack of a better. I could understand more of the Herbert love versus the Jordan Love, right? I get that. I don't get Jordan Love.
Yeah. But I think Tua, I think he's going to come back and he's going to have a great opportunity to show people that he's legit and he can do this. But it's also it's an opportunity, but opportunities are there to prove you right or prove you wrong.
It's true.
Right? And so it's going to be because like let me look at the schedule right now, man. Like week 8, you got the Cardinals, decent team.
Yep.
You got at the Bills,
yep,
at the Rams, Raiders, Patriots division game, at the Packers Thursday night, like Jets, Texans, Niners, Browns, Jets.
Dude, he's walking into a gauntlet of defensive teams, and not to cut you off, but like, do they really? If they're gonna bring him back for the Cardinals game, fine. But if they don't bring him back in the Cardinals game, I don't think they need to bring him back for the Bills game, just on PTSD alone, right? Like, you might as well let him hang. So now we're 7 games deep before we get the guy back. We are more than halfway done, and that might be the way to go. Is all lost by then, and there's no reason to? Are we not? If we wouldn't be out, we'd have to literally win out. I don't know. Again, dude, which you've kind of answered my question. I was going to ultimately ask you, do you think Tua plays again? You say yes. I say,
oh, dude, in my mind, no doubt.
I mean, no doubt.
Like, listen, concussions are very bad.
Yeah, right? They're the worst.
Concussions are horrible, but unfortunately, in the NFL, they're normalized. He's had 3 concussions in 3 years. Like, Kenny Pickett 2 years ago had 3 concussions in 1 season. No one said a thing. Like, he came out immediately and said, I have no plans to retire. I'm fine.
It's true.
Like, I get the concern. I'm concerned. Like, for me, like, I'm having, like, if I'm in his shoes, I'm having those conversations of like, man, I just got paid. I just got, like, I got $43 million guaranteed. I've already got enough from advertising and everything. Like, I might be done. But that's truthfully where I think his thinking is at. He wants to play.
I agree. I think he does want to play.
I don't even think it's a second thought.
Well, I think also he feels beholden to his teammates. I agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to let down your team. You battle
and there's some ego involved too. He doesn't want to leave it like it was left on the field. He's got people to prove wrong. He's got, all this stuff he put his mind to. I lost weight. I want to play the ball this way. If he did walk away, it would be after that Bills performance and getting a concussion and injured that way. And I don't think not the ego in the sense people are like, kill your ego. Like, just, you can't sleep with yourself knowing that that's how you let it lie. Like, there's got to be some kind of swan song at the least, right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, like, dude, if he said after this, you know what, I got 2 young kids, I got a wife, I want to take care of my family, I want to make sure I'm present for them for the rest of my life, I'm done. No hard feelings. I completely understand. Like, do what you need to do. But as soon as you say, no, I'm good, I'm coming to play, like, I'm going to be nervous for him. I'm going to be, hoping he's healthy. I'm going to be scared watching him move out there. But, like, at the end of the day, if you come out and you say, okay, I'm good to play, and then you return, you get cleared to play, you come and you step onto that field, like, all right, now you're here. It's time to ball. You got to go you got to go prove yourself. And, I mean, gauntlet, like we've said, perfect gauntlet to show. Like you're the franchise quarterback. If you're saying you're good, you're gonna go play. Like, it's time to step up, and we got to.
I don't care if Skylar's on a freaking win streak and ain't lost a game. If Tua's ready to come back, and that's where they're going to put Tua in.
Oh,
because financial obligations alone, right? At the minimum, there's millions of dollars that have been to this guy.
That would be an insane case study. If Skylar's 4-0 and Tua's cleared to come back,
yep,
half this fan base is going to be livid.
Well, that 4-0 has its own context, though, right? Like, if it's 4-0 and
Skylar looks good, though, you know what I mean? Like,
4-0, he's lit it up. He's thrown 300 yards and 3 touchdowns 2 of the last 4 games. And, had some rushing touchdown. Like, he really put on a clinic with this team. It's going to be hard to keep that off the field. But if we're thinking 4-0 and he's averaging 202 yards a game, and the Dolphins are, averaging 22 points a game over that time period, and the defense is playing lights out, it might push them to go, hey, we get back to what we were doing with Tua. We might really have something here.
Yeah.
There will be those that look to make noise in the fan base, and I'll be here for the fun. Honestly, I like the back and forth, buddy. I know you do too. You love it.
Oh yeah, it's
the best. It's the best.
People crack me up, man. On that. But no, I think too. I think some of the Tua is just arguably the most polarizing player in the NFL. Like,
oh yeah, him and Dak Prescott are pretty. I don't know.
Him and Dak Prescott, right? I mean, they really are right there. I mean,
they're right there, bro.
Opinion, and the opinions range from like top 3 quarterback in the league to shouldn't be a starter on an NFL team.
That's right.
Everybody's got an opinion, and so I think that factors in to why Tua's concussions get so much press and so much attention. I think the other thing too is the severity of them, or at least the perceived severity. Going into the fencing position twice is just like a little different than a normal concussion. Now, truthfully, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if going into the fencing position and all of that means that the concussion was worse, because he got up and walked off the field and said he felt fine. Fine with.
Well, that's the scary part too, man. That this guy's fine after that type of stuff. Like, is this becoming like? Is this becoming, is this becoming something he's becoming comfortable living with? I don't need that either. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I think, I think that's the other thing. It looks like scary. Like, And then the other thing is that every single concussion has happened on prime time.
Oh my God, buddy.
Twice on Thursday Night Football and then on
Bro.
Day. And so it's happened when everyone is watching. And so it's like I think that is part of the reason that like every time Tua has a concussion, it is the only thing on the news cycle for a whole week because one, the fencing position is a terrifying thing to watch, and two, everyone is watching that game. And so like I think that's part of the reason where like unfortunately like and like I said, I'm not trying to downplay concussions by any means. They are extremely severe. But acting like players don't get multiple concussions in the NFL.
It's true. It's true.
Like if Tua should retire, I can give you a laundry list of players that should retire. I mean, go watch Wes. I saw a highlight of Wes Welker the other day.
Edelman and Wes Welker and Danny Amendola are three guys we've all seen probably concussed get right back in the game.
And again, like I'm saying, I'm not here to downplay concussions. They're extremely serious. But at the same time, if you're going to hold Tua to the certain standard of, 3 concussions and that's retirement, it's time to go. Like there are so many players in the NFL.
Bro, you're making an excellent point.
I mean,
you're making such a great point that
Foster Moreau this week, he got a concussion week 1. He played week 2.
Yeah.
Like it's just unfortunately, and like I said, this is an extremely unfortunate thing. I'm not saying it's right, but it's kind of normal in the NFL for better or worse, more worse.
So there's a lot of people, right, that they are theorizing that this is Tua's last game. And for the reasonings that are very smart, and these might be true, ultimately on if he is not going to play, that the NFL is going to step in. They're going to say, look, can't have a guy taking concussions in a seizure fencing pose on prime time now for too many times. As every time Dolphins and this guy's out here, this is bad for business, and that they're going to step in. On the flip side of that argument, that I will say is something you started rolling on, and that the NFL doesn't want to set a precedent of now players can't play because of concussions and setting what perceptively could be a limit, right? You've had this many concussions, you can't play. Now, there is limitations. If you get a concussion, there's these protocol things where, now, if you just sustain another concussion this many weeks, you have to stay out longer now. We know the whole roller coaster of concussions because of Tua when he had a couple concussions that year. But on the flip side of the NFL not wanting to set the precedent, right, of creating a minimum requirement or a maximum concussion that deems you unable to play football, probably mostly because there's no science to prove that. Like there's so little confirmed scientific things they can do outside of CAT scans and MRIs and, field tests and memory tests, which, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much nuance with the human brain and concussions. I don't need to get off of that tangent, but they don't only want to set a minimum requirement, but I don't think the NFLPA wants to have the potential of that be weaponized as well, right? Like players aren't going to want to be weaponized because of this. And then also the NFL's got to think about of the abuse of using that, right? Where because of the limitations of what you can prove or disprove with a concussion, that if a player gets a massive contract and now the rule is 3 concussions, you can't play no more. Oops, I took a concussion this week, I took one that week, and now this player's running off in a sunset with an injury settlement and never having to play again. So it's such a rat's nest of dicey outcomes for the NFL, for Tua, for the Dolphins. To me, it's why I'm leaning, and I don't know, I'm leaning to one of 2 scenarios. One being that he does ultimately come back, and plays the remainder of the season, and we hold our breath to see if it happens again. Now, if it happens again, he will not play the rest of the year, and then we can begin the discussion on whether or not he'll ever play again. Or the second scenario would be that the Dolphins and Tua, from now until they need to announce it as such, are going to work out a injury settlement contract that they're going to say, listen, technically you could play again, but you're not going to play as a Miami Dolphin. And there's not a team out there that will trade for you. There's not a team that's going to take this contract. And you need to sign this waiver and say this, that, or the other, or we're just going to cut you or something to that effect. And they'll just eat the money and cut them, because right now, whatever money they're on the hook for this year, and there's a March something date that they could cut them for dead money next year, and that's pretty much the end of the contract. I think it equates to a total of like $93 million or something like that, if memory serves me correct. And it'll suck for the Dolphins to eat it. I think they'd even be willing to give him a complete $100 million to walk away with his health and his life intact if they really felt like this was the way to go, and probably use it in a contract to spread that money out over the next couple of years, in which case both people kind of mutually agree in this. But those are the only two scenarios I see right now.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think Tua's made it pretty clear. I know he hasn't spoken, but like the immediate response and kind of just, you get to know the guy. Like, I don't think he wants to go out.
Oh, I don't think at any part of him wants to stop playing football. At least not right now.
Exactly.
No part. I really don't.
And so that's why, I mean, you make a good point that either he's going to return or the Dolphins are going to step in and say, hey, this has got to be it, and like, we hate to do this, but like, we care about you as a person. We don't feel comfortable being the team that employs you to go, ruin your life. We're done. And truthfully, I hadn't even really thought of that possibility, but I definitely think like if he's going to stop playing, I think that's how it's going to go. I don't think it's going to be his own terms. And I mean, I hate it for him, man. Like, I know people like have a lot of opinions on him, but
listen, I've loved him. I've hated him. You know what I'm saying? You say he's a polarizing guy. There's no denying, because I have had every range of emotions with the fucking guy. I've had every range of emotions with this player since getting him. From excited from when we got him to ready to get rid of him and trade for other quarterbacks, to excited for the turnaround, to even more excited on this year to hopefully see what he's changed from last year to this year, to now feeling I don't hate him or love him right now. I feel like this man is in danger, and I look at him as a human, as a person, a father with a family, and I don't want him to either be bedridden or talk like a 6-year-old boy because his noggin got clocked a certain way, or be dead. I don't want any of those scenarios. And I got to weigh my hopes as a fan. And here's what I got a problem with some of the fans. They don't care about those parts about this person. They don't care about that. They care about winning football and watching the guy they want to see win the Dolphins football games as a quarterback. And they got to put that bullshit aside. They need to get off their nonsense and start really assessing the multitude of things with it. I'm not saying we should be certain on any which way, because guess what? I don't know. I don't know what sort of science. I don't know if the halo, I don't know what other things they can or can't do. But again, with not knowing all we do about concussions, he might never get another concussion his entire life and play for the next 10 years. But wherever these chips lie, it's going to be crazy. And if he does retire and he has that podium speech, that's going to be a hard watch, bro. That's going to be a super hard watch, because it's not just like these players that retire, but a young guy to have to retire for these reasons on literally the start of what looks to be their trajectory up. Oh my fuck, dude. It's going to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I feel for the human. Like, I feel for the person, like he's a great dude. And I hate that for him. Like
It sucks, dude. It's a bad situation for him and his family. It fucking sucks, dude.
it is, and it's just it's just tough. But I think that's why and like I try to, and like my whole opinion on it, like that's why I say I think he's coming back, is like if it were up to me, like if I was in his shoes or if I was in his circle or his family, like I'd be telling him, go be a family man, like it's time.
Yeah.
Go be a family man. But it's just I just don't think that's where he's.
I don't think that's who he is right now. I don't think that's who the guy is. I agree with you. I think that if it's ultimately, if the team is receptive to having him play back, this man is playing. He's gonna play.
Yeah.
Now, if the team is off of him for medical reasons, even if he's medically cleared, again, then we go into the two scenarios I thought. But if they're riding, and yeah, we're gonna see him again, because I don't think. I mean, dude, if we would have saw him quit, it would have been the last time this shit happened, right? Yeah. It would have been the last time it happened. That ain't the case. Now, it does get a little easier to quit when we're talking about the money that we're talking about here, too, right? You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the money. Like, there's a little easier saying, all right, it's time to giddy up.
Yeah. But, Seahawks, Skyler.
Yeah, what's your prediction? Like, what do you let's put a bow on this episode. What's your prediction? Shout out to everybody in chat. I see JD Fins fan over in Twitter came popping by. What's up, JD?
What's up, JD? What's
going on, buddy?
What's up, JD?
Come over to YouTube, JD, and hit the like button, buddy. What's your prediction? What are we looking at? Let's not even just get a prediction. What do the Miami Dolphins got to do to win, buddy? What do they got to do to win?
They got to not beat themselves, man. That's what it comes down to.
Bet.
I think, the Seahawks, they're 2-0. They've won 2 close games over the Broncos and the Patriots. You know what I mean? Like, haven't looked necessarily extremely impressive, but they're a solid team. They got some weapons on offense. I don't know if Kenneth Walker's going to play. He missed last week. He might play, might miss this week. Jerome Baker revenge game,
yeah, no one's even talking about the narratives on there.
Yeah, it's Jerome Baker revenge game. The Seahawks are a solid team. They're 2-0. It kind of feels like on their side, it kind of feels like a trap game, 2-0, you're feeling good. You just they just beat the Patriots in overtime. You're riding high.
Dolphins look like crap. They got a new quarterback coming in here. Yeah, we should walk through the Dolphins.
Like it screams, like if I'm on the Seahawks side, it screams trap game.
100%. Which is crazy because I would have predicted the complete opposite scenario, right? That if the Dolphins, I picked the Dolphins winning these 2 weeks. I thought this was it. I thought this was the year we were gonna have them licked, but no, it didn't happen. Yeah. But continue.
No, so it's still hard for me in good faith to pick the Dolphins. Especially just
that's being honest, buddy.
And it's like first week. You know what I mean? Like first week with Skyler. Armstead's banged up. Rob Jones is banged up. We still got Chubb and Craycraft and Odell Beckham, all these guys on IR.
Yeah.
I don't know if Malik Washington's coming back. He's been hurt.
We need him too, buddy. We need him.
We got to go all the way across the country to Seattle. It just feels like a lot. But if there was ever a trap game, I think this is it. And I'm never going to count the Dolphins out. It's Tuesday. By the time Sunday rolls around, I'm going to be fully convinced that the Dolphins are winning this football game. Sunday morning, I'm no doubt in my mind the Dolphins.
Oh no, I'm picking victory. We're full tilt. It's Skynet is live, is what it is, because everybody's going to be cheering the guy on.
I'm objective on Tuesday, and I'm biased on Sunday. Is kind of how it goes. The further we go into the week, and the further I am away from what happened.
Seattle sucks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they got no shot.
Yeah. But truthfully, I mean, I don't know how it happens. I think I look at this 4-game stretch, and I think if we go 2-2, we're over the moon about it.
Hmm.
You know, like this 4-game stretch without Tua, if we're 2-2, that feels kind of like the best case scenario. Where those 2 games fall in, I don't know. I think sometimes when you look at predictions, it's a little easier to look at it in chunks than it is a singular game.
100%.
But this little stretch, man, it's not going to be like it doesn't look that hard on paper, but like Seattle, solid team, right? The Titans, I get it. They're 0-2. They're, Will Levis is making, the crazy pictures and whatever. But like, I'm actually Nashville area guy.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the Titans. I was actually there on Sunday just to hate on the Jets. Like,
Nice.
pulled up to hate on the Jets. That Titans defense is legit.
The Titans have always had a good defense. You can always count on that.
It's serious. And so that's not going to be an easy game. Plus, it's prime time, and you know what happens to us on prime time. And then the Patriots, division rival, and then the Colts. There's just no gimme in these 4 games. But I think if you can go 2-2, I'm feeling great. If we go 2-2, if we go 1-3,
I wonder, right? Like,
maybe not great, right? But I feel good.
Yeah, well, you don't feel bad. You don't feel like all is lost because you're remaining at 500. That's the facts.
Yeah.
But here's what I worry about, right? Dolphins dropped this game. They've had a long time. I mean, it was a short turnaround, both games at home, and then the letdown on Thursday night, coupled with losing to they go on this long road trip after a little extended time all the way to Seattle and lose again. We're heading for a potential slippery slope with morale, with output, with everything, man. And that's ultimately I have to predict a win. And there's where my bias is showing. I have to predict it because I'm worried about if the Dolphins lose here, how it could. I mean, Mike McDaniel might start losing this football team right before our eyes. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being hyperbolic. I don't know, but I'm looking at every scenario all the time with this football team because I'm always trying to nail down what's really going on. And again and again and again, it's an absolute. We're all completely. We've named 10,000 million scenarios, and the one no one named is what exactly happens. So it's crazy. It's the hardest team on earth to bet on in that get up. But yeah, I guess in a 4-game sample size, hopefully that's a little bit the outcome. And then all the Dolphins really have done minimally is buy themselves time, and that's kind of what they said. They said it in so many ways. We're giving him amount of time. We don't want to rush anything back, seniorologist. But they bought themselves time to mull things over as well as mull them over with Tua. And I think the decision becomes all the more clear on what they should do. Say Skylar goes 3-1 or 4-0, and in the games he's won and or lost a one, is playing lights out, makes their decision a little easier. Maybe not to move on from Tua, but not call him back, or maybe they bring him right again. I say that, but then maybe they go, "Hey, Tua, pick up this team, hit the ground running. We're off to go. We held it down for you." Well, they're playing for him to come back. They're holding it down for. I don't know. God.
I mean, Seattle this week. I think win or lose, I think it's going to tell you a lot about this team. I think win or lose, it's going to tell you a lot about this team. And you know what? At its core, when you break it down to its very root, none of it matters because we're cursed.
That's true. Thank you. You know what? You're right. We keep forgetting as fans. We keep forgetting. Like all these scenarios. Wait a minute. We're cursed. That's right.
It doesn't matter, man.
We're cursed to live where we're living, as equal to the Bills are cursed to get to the mountaintop, only to fall and plummet to their death.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? They don't get to go to the next stairway to heaven from there. No, they get to plummet to their death.
Yep.
We're equally cursed in this way.
The curse that was placed on this stadium by the Concussion tribe because we refused to not build it on a freaking ancient burial ground.
It's true.
Like,
I mean, that's kind of everywhere in Florida, but yes.
right, yeah.
It's kind of everywhere in Florida. There's an ancient burial ground throughout this whole state, but yes.
But I just, like, at some point, man, it's just like, how else do you explain it?
There's no explaining it.
I'm at that point where I'm just like, yeah, it's Kurt. Like, after this season, man, if it keeps going how it's going, like, we might have to, like, assemble, like, a little squad and, like, just intervene, Like, we might have to try to figure out this curse thing. Like, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know much about curses, but, like, if this season keeps going how it's going, we might have to get together a few people and, like, we got to take matters into our own hands.
I've got a great idea. We could start a GoFundMe across all platforms, and for the entirety of the offseason, we will put together the money to then purchase the largest amount of sage and have it delivered to the stadium and lit and just smoke out the entirety of the stadium and facilities with sage and exorcise all of the bad spirits out of there.
Fly the Goodyear blimp right over it and drop
just
it.
Sage it. Yeah, like we'll like dust them right over the top.
Yeah,
that might be that. I think that might be the way to go.
Plane,
yeah, that might be the way to go. Like a crop dusting plane, but just the full sage on. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. Well, man, King of Finland, I am so happy you came. I'm glad you did this. I thought we learned a lot. I mean, we've covered all bases, right? I mean, we got a quarterback that may or may not be contemplating his career. Well, I mean, I don't know. He kind of said, no, I'm playing football again. I guess there's no contemplation with that. I still think there's the wife might have a little bit different to say about it, and the family, and there's going to be time for him to have those discussions, as well as seniorologists. Meanwhile, we have Skyler, hopefully Skyler 2.0. That's hopefully we capture lightning in a bottle, or at least have enough spark to keep this team alive and Tua comes back. I don't know. We are right where we've always been with absolute uncertainty, right? I see people in chat. They're talking about Snoop. I mean, if Skyler's going to fail quick and fail hard so we can bring the next guy in and try this out. I don't want a carousel of quarterbacks from here on out trying to, keep this team from not turning into the Carolina Panthers. But, God, man, guys, everybody watching, please go. If you're on X, go check out King of Finland at King of Finland. A must follow, 100%. Bringing you guys not just personal takes, but edging like on the news like you wouldn't believe. Educationally, we're talking grades, comparisons. I mean, I don't know how you do it, honestly, bro. Like, you must have like 6 cell phones with like different things to just funnel them all into a work of art that you do. So I appreciate it. That's why I've been following you for a long time. So you actually did an appearance with great friends of mine, Kadeem and Charlie Touche over at Go Time Dolphins. Homies of mine. I was a guest on their show about 3 years ago. Caught the YouTube bug. There's no Finn's Tailgate channel without the Go Time Dolphins guys. Solid dudes, awesome guys. I love them both. But yeah, I seen you on that, and I was following you before. I was like, what? They got King of Finland on there? So it was high time I invited you on myself. I really appreciate it. Again, everybody follow him at King of Finland. If you can, man, hang in the back. I'll chat with you after I close this thing down if you got a second.
Yeah, so, for sure, man, for sure. So, I really appreciate you having me on. It's been a blast, and yeah, appreciate the comments, appreciate the chat. I love reading it. I love interacting with everybody here. It's been a ton of fun.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. That was King of Finland. Everybody, again, you got to follow him, dude. Guy's a gem. I mean, you see, that is a real fan up and down. There was no biased takes. The ebbs and flows of being a Dolphin fan, all of it was there, as you guys know. Go give him a follow. When you do, send him a message, TFTG, let him know you guys came through. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, wherever you guys are watching or listening. Come over here to YouTube, subscribe over here, and we'll see you guys next time. Fins up.